Have you started to follow the Mediterranean diet but still struggle with ways to make it easy to do? If you're looking for an extra edge in the kitchen that'll help you get to your healthy goals, then this video is for you. I'm going to show you the 10 most helpful tools in my kit that I use every single day in my Mediterranean kitchen to make eating the Mediterranean way every day more of a sure thing. Some of these tools can be lifetime investments, and some are a little bit more than pocket change, but it's how they all work together that makes life on this diet a lot easier. Hola everybody, I'm Caroline and my channel is all about helping you learn to eat the Mediterranean way every day, no matter where you live. And be sure to stick around because after we go through my top 10 list of the essential tools, I'll also share a few of my non-essential toys that come in pretty handy too. But it's time to talk about the most important kit I use every day, and I'm not going to play the suspense game. I want to start with the most indispensable tools and work down from there. That way, if you have to decide on what to invest in that you might not already have, I'd suggest starting at number one. Number one, the Cutting Things Up Kit. They may as well have called it the Mediterranean meal prep diet, because any diet that includes as many fresh fruits and veggies as this one does means there's no getting around a certain amount of time cutting stuff up. You can buy pre-cut prep stuff, but it's so much more expensive and probably not as fresh. So you gotta have at least 2 knives, a chef's knife and a paring knife, a sturdy surface to work on, and a way to keep them as sharp as you can. All these tools might be a little pricey, but the good news is they're also lifetime investments. When you choose a knife, there are 3 things to think about. Is it comfortable to hold? Does it feel balanced in your hand? And can it keep a sharp edge? I found that a 10-inch chef's knife was just too much for me to handle with confidence, so I use an 8-inch knife and it fits me just right. Your cutting board should be hefty enough to support all that chopping. My everyday preference is a nice thick wooden board that'll last a lifetime. And if you have slippery counters, don't forget to put a damp towel underneath it to keep it from moving around while you chop. Finally, make sure you have a simple way to keep your knives nice and sharp. If you can master a whetstone, more power to you. But I've tried and failed more than once. So I invested in this rolling sharpener from HORL knife sharpeners because it's so much easier and faster to get a really sharp edge. Depending on whether your knife has a 20-degree angle or 15-degree like mine, just snap it on to the magnetic angle support and, starting with the diamond disc, gently roll it back and forth a few times on both sides. Then finish the edge with a ceramic disc and use a strop or a soft towel to remove any little burrs. If you have the finer grit discs, just switch them out and repeat the process. HORL was nice enough to send me their latest Pro model with those extra whetstone discs to fine-tune the edge, but either version will work wonders to keep your knife in its original razor-sharp condition. Number 2, a cast iron Dutch oven. There's no tool I rely on more than my knife kit, but these 2 are right up there. My enameled cast iron Dutch oven and BRASSIER. First, I love them because they're heavy bottom, so they deliver super even heating. They're enameled, so I don't have to fuss with a fussy cast iron finish. And if you want to, you can go from stovetop to oven, even to table, keeping everything warm while you serve. Like the knife kit, they will last a lifetime. Plus, they're pretty. I use this 6-quart Dutch oven to boil pasta, make rice, make stews, make sauces, soups, sear meats. And while you can saute in it, it's a lot easier to use a saute pan style, and that's where indispensable number 3 comes into play. Indispensable number 3, a BRASSIER. It's a 12-inch option to a typical saute pan, but it too can go from the stovetop to oven to table. I fry eggs in it, I saute veggies and fish in it, I can reduce a sauce in it, make paella in it. It works great as an alternative to a baking dish for casseroles and one-pan dinners. I even roast chicken in it. Both these tools can be pricey, but if somebody ever asks you what you want for your birthday and it's in their price range, put these on the list. A few years ago, George surprised me with this one, and that's how it showed up in my kitchen. The 2 brands I've had good experience with are at 2 ends of the price spectrum, Le Creuset and Tramontina. Number 4, a glass mixing bowl set. This might seem like a no-brainer, but there are 3 advantages to buying glass mixing bowls instead of plastic or metal. Plastic eventually wears and starts to discolor, and neither is very attractive if you want to use them as serving bowls. And of course, these are better for the environment. And having lids turns them into see-through meal prep containers that are easy to transport to a party or store in the fridge. Number 5, measuring tools. I almost always use a simple kitchen scale to measure out ingredients. And I have to say, one of the advantages of living in the Mediterranean is that following metric measurements for precise amounts is the norm. For convenience, I have a set of measuring spoons and cups that come in handy all the time. But for volume, liquid or solid, I use the scale. And a quick shout out to Gigi for asking me to make this video. So for the rest of you, please let me know what other videos you'd like to see me tackle too down in the comments, and I'll do my best to get it done. Number 6, spoonula and tongs. I used to think that a spoonula was a goofy hybrid with a silly name, but actually I've come to realize it's a lot handier than a spatula and almost as good as a spoon, which is why it made it on this list as an essential. I like a good quality silicone style one that can stand the heat and won't scratch a pan. I instinctively reach for it more than any other utensil on the counter. And a good set of tongs? Simply have to have one. 12-inch, scratch-free grippy tips, solid locking mechanism, and comfy to hold. Number 7, steamer insert. When I first met George, I was living on a boat in Baja, Mexico, and if you ever want to learn how little you can manage within a kitchen, try cooking out of a 3-foot galley. If you go camping a lot, you'll know exactly what I mean. So that brings me to number 7, the everyday essential simple vegetable steamer insert. I use it as a colander to wash and drain all my fresh fruits and veggies. I use it to drain pasta, and for small potatoes and meal prepped veggies, if you aren't pan roasting them or only want to blanch a small amount for use later, steaming is great because it helps retain healthy nutrients that are otherwise lost when you boil things. And by the way, if you're interested in any of these tools, you can find a full list of links to my kitchen essentials down in the description below. And don't forget, when we're done with this countdown, I'll be sharing just a few of those non-essential kitchen toys that I play with a lot. So stick around for a couple of other bonus kit ideas too. Number 8, bench scraper. A small and inexpensive tool in the kitchen, but no less important, is my multi-purpose bench scraper. I use it every day. It just makes prepping so much easier and cleanup so much faster. I can use it to cut up soft items, scrape and shape dough, gather up little bits, and swoop away trimmings. I even have one that has measuring marks on it in case I'm looking for a little bit more precision when I'm chopping things up. Number 9, ZESTER. Box graters are great, but I can't live without my ZESTER. For citrus peels, for a finish of cheese, for garlic, for a little grated carrot, a smidge of freshly grated nutmeg or ginger, I seem to reach for this all the time. And I really like the wider finish to this one. My original was half this, and this is so much more handy. Number 10, meal prep containers. Finally, now that we've powered through all these tools that help us prepare all this food, what to put it in. There are 3 things I think are pretty dang important no matter which brand you choose. And they are, number 1, they should be glass. It's easier to clean, it can be put in a microwave directly, and you can see what's in them. Number 2, they should have lids with separate hinge parts versus folding plastic hinges. As much as I love some IKEA storage containers, I've had my fair share of lid flaps that snap right off after a few uses. And then they're pretty much useless. And number 3, they should only be sizes you will really use. Don't bother with sets that have too much variation, including those tiny little ones you'll almost never use. If you're a subscriber, then you probably know I love kitchen tools. George calls me the gadget girl, and he's pretty much right. So while I could manage fine with just the 10 tools we're talking about, having fun in the kitchen is my hobby, and playing with different tools is just another part of what makes it fun. So if I wanted to stretch this list and add 5 more non-essentials, but nice to have, they would be a ceramic non-stick small frying pan, a 1/4 sheet pan for roasting veggies or making cookies, because I'm guessing your oven came with the big one. A nice whisk to whip up batters and dressings instead of using a fork. A solid mortar and pestle to pound spices and garlic into submission. And a nonstick grill pan because, well, who doesn't just love a little crispy edge char on their veggies, their chicken, or their fish? So now that you have a pretty good idea of the absolute essentials you need to make it happen, you really should click on this playlist and start cooking.